Hello, and welcome to Unpacking with Cargo Bay. On this episode of Airline Pilot Talk, we are going to discuss long haul flights. So, a flight that's 9 or 10 hours. How many pilots are there? Do we just put autopilot on and then go to sleep? What all happens? How do we do it? Well, don't fear. Hang around for the next 2 minutes and you will be an expert. You'll know everything about long haul flying. All right. So, first of all, I have my pink tie today for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which I'm filming this in October. So, that's why I have a pink tie on, which is not a part of my, I guess, year round uniform where I usually just have a brown tie on. All right. Let's jump right into it. A long haul flight is classified as a flight that's over 7 hours and 45 minutes. By the FAA's definition, it'd be 8 hours, but my company, 7 hours and 45 minutes. So what that means is if we have, say, an 8-hour flight, we need to have a third pilot. And if it's more than 12 hours flight, then we need 4 pilots. All right. So with the flights that are between 7 hours and 45 minutes and 11 hours and 59 minutes, the 3 pilot crew will consist of 1 captain and 2 first officers. Now, the captain has, the title of the captain. When it comes to the first officers and the FOs, there's the guest FO, and then there's the IRO, the International Relief Officer. All right. Now, before we move any further, their pay remains the same, whether I'm the IRO or the guest FO or the operating FO, I should say. It doesn't matter. My pay remains the same. I'm still a qualified first officer, so on and so forth. Just wanted to put that out there. All right. So, let's say we take off from Louisville, Kentucky, and we are flying across the North Atlantic to Germany. It's going to be about a 9-hour flight. All right. On that 9-hour flight, before we take off, there's the captain in the left seat, the guest FO, and I'll just make myself the guest FO for this scenario. So guest FO Angel, guest FO Cargo Bay. I'm in the right seat, and the other FO is sitting in the third seat, the IRO seat, if you will. All right. Now, all 3 pilots are required to be in the flight deck for takeoff and landing, and that's the only requirement. Now, we take off on our flight, and typically the IRO has the first break. So what we'll do with the flight time, let's say it's 9 hours, each pilot will get 2 hours and 50 minutes of a break. And in my aircraft on the Boeing 767, we have a bunk that's in the back. So simply, that means after we take off, the IRO, which has the first break, they will get up 18,000 feet. They'll get up and then they'll go commence their break, go to the back, go to sleep. And usually, the IRO, if I know I'm gonna be the IRO, I show up tired and ready to go to sleep so I can go to sleep because I know I have the first break. So the IRO gets up, goes to the back. After 2 hours and 50 minutes, they'll come back up. And let's just say I want the second break because I'm the guest FO. I'll take the second break. I'll get up out my seat, go to the back. The FO sits in that right seat. And then after my break is over, I'll come back. The guest FO gets out of my seat because that's my seat as the guest FO. And then the captain will get out of their seat. And then the IRO sits in the left seat, the captain seat. So sidebar, that's kind of like one of my favorite parts of being the IRO because I get to sit in the left seat and I get to practice being a captain for, when it's really my time. So I practice. But anyway, captain goes up, takes their break in the bunk. And now you have, 2 first officers that are, up front flying the airplane. And after the break, captain comes back. FO gets out of the seat, IRO gets out of the seat, and now you're back to our original seats, if you will, for right before we descend and land. All right, so pretty simple concept. even though the captain is not up front at all times, the captain is still the pilot in command. If anything goes wrong, or if you have any questions, we'll ding the captain. We'll call the captain on the phone and say there's a problem. Then they'll come up front. So everyone gets a break, and the pay scales remain the same for the first officer. It doesn't matter if they're operating FO, guest FO, or the IRO. And I use the term guest FO because, as I mentioned before in our scenario, it's 9 hours from Louisville, Kentucky to Cologne, Germany. So typically the IRO and the captain, they're paired together for a trip. And this is what makes us different from the passenger carriers. On the cargo side, once we get to Europe, we are operating intra-Europe, and we have layovers intra-Europe. So we'll cross the ocean, and you need 3 pilots for the crossing. So cross the ocean. Once we cross the ocean, we shed the third pilot, usually the operating pilot or the guest FO, usually gets dropped from the trip. And now the IRO becomes the regular captain, becomes the operating FO and the captain, and they're just operating their line. Let's say they have 3 or 4 days intra-Europe, and they're flying together for those 3 or 4 days. And then when it's time to come home and they have to come back across the ocean, boom, they'll acquire a guest FO that'll sit in the seat and then help them cross the ocean, because that flight's going to be longer than 7 hours and 45 minutes. All right. Hope I explained it. Try to keep it as simple as possible. On the flights that are longer than 12 hours, as I mentioned, they'll have 4 pilots, 1 captain, and 3 FOs. And they do the same thing, rotating with the breaks. Everyone gets an equal break. Sometimes they'll have 2 captains and 2 first officers. And in that case, if it's a 12-hour flight, let's say, 1 captain and FO, they'll fly the first 6 hours. And then once their 6 hours is done, they're done flying. And then the other crew, if you will, captain, FO, they'll sit in a seat and fly for 6 hours as well. So a couple of different ways to skin that cat. But anyway, that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, go ahead, drop it down, and try to respond back to you in a timely manner. All right? Y'all have a good one.